Hello, my dear viewers and the rest of the listeners. Welcome for this presentation in which I am speaking about effective decision making, and the title of this presentation is Making Effective Decisions Before Action. My name is Mema JM, or you can simply call me Emily Swap. What is effective decision making? Decision making is your mental process of selecting the most appropriate alternative from among several choices that you have in relation to a certain issue in order to determine an opinion or a course of action that you will take based on your values and preferences. You can always make such decisions through combination of intuition and reasoned process. Therefore, decision-making is a daily routine for every human being, regardless of his or her status. This is because any action taken by a person at any time is usually a product of decision made by himself or herself, either consciously or unconsciously. This is because some decisions may be very simple that you really know that you are making them, such as when you make a decision to take a glass of water to solve the problem of thirst, while others are complex and time-consuming as one tries to arrive at the best decision, such as when making a choice for marriage. For this reason, this life is simply a process of continuously solving problems through decision-making, whose type of results or quality of outcome determines the type and the quality of life that you are going to lead. In fact, the type and the kind of life that you are leading today, or the kind of situation that you are currently passing through, is purely the product of the quality of decisions that you or other people have made in the past. It is thus the quality of decisions that you make that determines the quality of life that you will lead and the type of goals that you will attain. For this reason, it is important that you always take adequate time to think on any matter before taking any action. So, never ever be pressured by anyone or be influenced by anyone to take any action without having carefully thought about it yourself and made a decision of the most appropriate action that you are going to take. Remember that if you accept to be lured into taking any action without having made a personal choice to do it, you are the one that will face the consequences of your action. Therefore, never accept to be influenced by anyone to make any decision or take any action without having carefully evaluated the effects of the same to your personal life and to the lives of others. This is because if you make a wrong decision, you will always lead a miserable life. But if you make the right decision, you lead a comfortable life. Always remember that you have the freedom to think carefully and deeply on any matter before making a decision so as to arrive at good quality decisions, or so that you can be able to jump into implementing decisions without having thought about it and then deal with the consequences later. I repeat, always remember that you have the freedom to think carefully and deeply on any matter before making a decision so as to arrive at good quality decisions, or you can just jump into implementing decisions without having thought about it, and then you deal with the consequences of the same later. You should therefore never rush into taking any action or doing anything without having carefully thought about it, so that you can always be prepared to deal with the eventualities that may arise. Careful decision-making steps helps you be able to avoid statements such as, "I wish I knew" mentality. For this reason, whatever that you do or whatever action you take at any time must be an outcome of appropriate and effective decision-making process. In fact, many people make grave mistakes because of their failure to make the right decisions in relation to any issue before involving themselves in it. And as a result, some of the actions taken lead to an unexpected negative consequences. In addition, this failure to calmly and soberly make the right decision make many to feel that they have a purpose to accomplish while alive, but they do not know how to go about it, therefore being unable to achieve their purpose. Therefore, if you do not like taking adequate time in making decisions concerning any issue or activity, you are bound to rely on luck, whose destiny is unknown. But if you take adequate time in taking or in making a decision concerning any matter before acting, you are bound to succeed because you'll be adequately prepared to deal with the outcome. It is therefore important that you always take your time to evaluate or assess all the available alternatives on any issue before arriving at any conclusion and before taking any action. In addition, if you ever want to make quality decisions that can add value to your life or to the lives of others and then grant you the best results that can reverse your condition or situation from its current state to the best state, you need to pay attention to the following. Do not limit yourself to only gathering facts that seem to support your intended outcome, but be open-minded and gather all facts around the issue without being biased to searching only what you want. This is because what you may be thinking is the right solution to your issue might in fact be a wrong one. Therefore, always be open-minded as you dive into gathering information to deal with the issue that you have at hand. Do not just be limited to hearing what you want, but always allow yourself to hear everything in relation to the matter, regardless of what you might be feeling about the same. Do not just go for only what you want to hear, but be ready to hear even what you do not want to hear. Otherwise, it might have been as a result of people hearing only what they wanted to hear and doing only what they wanted to do that might have made the situation that you are in to be bad or to be worse, and that you are facing to be the way it is. Never stop the process of seeking for alternatives just because you seem to have gotten what you are looking for, because you may think that you have arrived at the best alternative only for better alternatives to be left out. So, avoid the premature termination of information gathering. In other words, never cease from acquiring more facts on a matter just because you think that there is no more time for the same. In fact, it is as a result of people using the lack of adequate time as an excuse not to gather vital facts that has made many people to always arrive at short decisions that have no positive impact. So, always give yourself adequate time to seek for more alternatives so as to make an informed decision on any matter. Don't be fixed to only certain thought patterns, but be willing to change your existing thought patterns and embrace any other new type of ideas and approaches to the issue, because the best solution to the issue may be arrived at through an approach that you might not be familiar with. It is always good to explore new ways of doing things if those ways that you have been making use of have not been giving you the expected results. Therefore, as you seek for information on the way forward, think kindly and open room for any thought patterns and views on how to deal with the matter, including those that you might not be aware of. Always treat all the information gathered and all the respondents as important without any prejudices. Do not disregard some information just because you feel that the individuals that you do not like are the ones providing it, or just because you feel that such individuals cannot add value to your decision as long as they are appropriate respondents. Always remember that any relevant idea is important in shaping the kind of decision that you arrive at. This also applies or implies that you should involve every stakeholder or anyone that may be affected by the decision that you want to make in the decision-making process. Otherwise, that person or that idea that you may ignore might be the key towards unlocking your challenges or addressing your problem for the good of yourself and the others. Avoid wishful thinking by assuming that all is well or that all will be well without being ready to explore tangible solutions. Whereas it is good to have faith, reality requires that you must take the right decision to deal with the matter at hand, and that you take the right action to deal on any issue, because faith without action is simply dead. So, avoid comforting yourself that you are okay or that everything is okay when you know very well that you are not okay or the situation you are passing through is not good, just because you don't want to be seen to be weak, or just because you want to remain at a certain status quo. Remember that the journey towards making any decision commences by the concerned party accepting the reality that something is not right and that something must be done to remedy the situation. Therefore, if you know that something is not right, do not ignore it or sugarcoat it by pretending that all is well, but accept the reality and take an action to deal with it. Always do something towards dealing with any worrying matter without just wishing or hoping that all will be well, yet you are doing nothing about it. Remember that if all wishes were horses, even beggars would ride. Always be sincere and honest about the choice that you make. This implies that you should never justify any wrong alternative that you might have chosen, yet you know very well, or you knew very well, that you ignored or rejected the best alternative. Sometimes you may find yourself settling on a certain alternative just because you feel that that is the best alternative for you based on your status, yet it's not the best alternative to solve the problem. For this reason, never ignore or reject the best alternative for solving your problem or for dealing with the situation, either just because you want to please someone, or just because you feel that you are not adequately prepared for that alternative. So, avoid the bias of settling for the wrong alternative just because you have the right to. Otherwise, if you consciously settle for the wrong alternative at the detriment of the appropriate one, it would have been better if you never initiated the process of solving the existing problem and just maintain the status quo. Because through your lack of integrity, you'll be leaving the situation in a worse state than you found it. Always establish the basis or the initial source and the status of the current problem or situation before you embark on exploring the ways of solving it. This is because there can be no event or situation that just occurs without some precipitating or some disposing or predisposing factors. In fact, you are where you are today and in the current state because of something that happened in the past. For example, if someone wants to understand your current state, he or she must establish what might have happened to you in the past that might have influenced your current state, so that he or she can then be able to come up with the strategies of dealing with your current and your future states. For this reason, it is good to always gather some history about the past in relation to the challenge at hand, so that the facts that you gather can be able to give you some clues on the way forward. This is because you cannot solve what you do not know. And to know about something, it is always good to dig a little into its recent past. Always remember that you cannot continue doing the same things in the same way and expect to get different results. In addition, you cannot continue believing in what you are just told to be the right thing or the right way to approach issues, yet you are not realizing the expected results. For this reason, you should be ready to come out of just what you have been hearing or what you have been doing and be ready to explore the truths about the same and find out whether there are better ways of doing the same. Do not be a person that always wants to retain the same culture of handling problems in a certain predefined manner, yet the same is neither changing your life, the life of others, or the status of the organization. So, avoid always believing in just what you are told or what you hear without finding out the reality of the matter. Always train yourself to come out of your comfort zone and explore the truths about an issue at hand. Also, avoid being a person that just conforms to a group or to whatever that others say without finding out the reasons behind it. Remember that in this life, your personal life is a key, and your way of doing things does not necessarily need to be similar to that of others. For this reason, never make decisions under influence of somebody, but always make decisions because they are good for you. This means that you do not need to always conform to what others say or to what others do without having to think about it. Always make informed decisions that are grounded on facts and not influenced by peer or group pressure. Whenever you are making any decision, do not forget to think about its worst case scenarios too. This is because it is not necessarily true that things will always go as expected, because even the worst can also happen. For this reason, you should always ask yourself about what you are going to do in case your decision fails, or your plan fails, or in case something unexpected occurs that may interfere with the decision that you have already made. So, whenever you are thinking about the positives for your decision, do not also forget to think about its alternatives, especially its negatives too. It is only by thinking about the worst case scenario for any decision that you can be able to formulate alternative decisions to implement in case what you expect does not come to pass or does not happen. For example, as you make an investment decision, also make a decision on what you are going to do in case that investment backfires, or in case of death. For this reason, as you make any decisions, do not underestimate the future uncertainties. Therefore, whenever you make a choice of an alternative to implement, formulate an alternative strategy or a contingency strategy too, in case that alternative does not go as envisaged. Whenever you are making any decisions, remember that even the alternative that you think is the best solution to the problem may not in real sense guarantee you the expected results in the near future, because there are other natural factors that can affect your decisions as well as your plans. For this reason, always be prepared to accept the outcome of your decisions as long as you have arrived at them properly without allowing the outcome overwhelm you, or stress you. It is therefore also good for you to always be prepared for the future by making some plans today that have a bearing on your envisaged future. Do not be a person that just dwells on dealing with the current situations without remembering that you also have a future to deal with. For this reason, your current decisions should be guided by your past and be tailored to your future. Therefore, every decision that you make should also have some elements of the future as well as some elements for the worst case scenarios. So, whereas it is good to be optimistic about your decisions bringing forth the positive outcomes, also be wise in your decision-making process to cater for any unforeseen uncertainties. Always create some time out of your busy schedule to reflect about the effects of the decisions that you make in terms of the mistakes made and the successes achieved, and think about how you are able to handle each situation. Therefore, because you make various decisions every day, do not be a person who just takes life normally and continues just naturally to make further decisions and make mistakes without taking time to think about yourself and about the decisions you have been making. Always set for yourself a reflective session that you can utilize to think about each decision you made over the day and the consequences of each, including asking yourself why some of your decisions were received positively while others were resisted, why you behaved the way you did, as well as thinking about the alternatives that were available and why you settled on that one that you implemented. Also think about how you reacted to the situation and what made you react the way you did. Then find out any lessons that you have learned from what happened and think of how you apply the lessons learned to improve on your next or your future decisions. If it is possible, you can always do this on a daily basis at the end of each day so that you can be able to end the day well and be prepared for the next day. Always remember that whereas you cannot reverse mistakes made after making certain decisions, you always have an opportunity to improve yourself by utilizing the lessons learned from the mistakes you have made. Therefore, even if you make a mistake in your decisions, do not be so hard on yourself, but take some time to reflect about it and take an action to curb such mistakes from happening again. Avoid running away from any mistakes that you make, but own them and be ready to be accountable for the same. So, if you fail to do something, or you find out that you made a decision that was wrong, that has negatively affected you or others, stop running away from the truth, but be ready to face the reality, accept that you made a mistake, and find out how to remedy the situation. Avoid blaming others or seeking for excuses to defend your mistakes. Therefore, if you make a mistake while in the process of making a certain decision, do not be shy to alert others about it. In addition, do not allow others to continue suffering because of your own mistake, but own up to your own mistakes, apologize about it, and work together with others to remedy the situation. Do not die silently or suffer the repercussions of a mistake that you have made without letting others know about it. That is why you should also never make any assumption or ignore any information while in the process of making a decision, so that you do not encounter challenges that you could have avoided before. That is also the reason as to why integrity is key in the entire process of decision making as well while implementing a decision. You can learn more about integrity by visiting the YouTube channel by the name Emily Swap Life Skills and listen to the video by the title Salvaging Lives Through Integrity Integration in Your Personality. Anytime you are making any decision, remember to ensure that you make a decision that will be applicable in handling similar situations even in the future. In other words, when you want to make any decision, think about the consequences of that decision both at the present and even in the future. For this reason, you should never make any decision just for the sake of catering for your personal interests at the moment, but always make a decision that is not biased and that addresses the problem at hand without targeting a certain individual or making a decision for the sake of pleasing someone or meeting a single person's needs. That is why it is important for you to always think or make a prediction about the effect of the decision that you are about to make some several years to come, instead of making a decision that only addresses the issue just now and here. When you think about the impact that the decision that you are about to make will have in the future, that is when you'll be able to make the right decision at the present. Therefore, for any decision that you want to make, regardless of how simple or complex it might be, start by listing down the impact that it will have both at the present and in the future, so that you can be able to be sure that the decision you want to make now is the best one even in the future, or whether it is not a good one. It is also important for you to ensure that the decision that you are about to make does not violate the rules of the land, the societal and workplace policies, your ethical values and principles, or your religious expectations. This is because, whereas making some decisions is personal, its effects can never be personal because it will always affect the others in one way or another. For this reason, before you embark on the process of making a decision, make sure that you familiarize yourself with all the existing policies, in relation to what you want to do and the implications or consequences of the same in as far as the law of the land and other guidelines are concerned. This is because a good decision should never be one that makes you violate the laws of the land or go against the existing ethical standards. That is why you should always think about how the results of your decisions are going to affect the others and whether the decision that you are about to make is within the law or not. Otherwise, you might think that you are making a good decision only for that decision to make you experience the full force of the law, bearing in mind that ignorance is no defense. Always remember that there is no decision that is cast on stone or that cannot be amended. For this reason, even as you make certain decisions at the moment, remember that the same decisions can be reviewed and amended accordingly in case it's discovered that either that decision did not pay attention to certain vital aspects, or in case it's noted that the decision made is no longer meeting the intended objectives. For this reason, you should never continue implementing a decision that is either facing opposition from others or one that is not meeting your expectations for any reason. Never say that just because you have invested so much in a certain task or in a certain decision, you cannot reverse your stand and relook at the matter. It is better to lose an investment that you might have put in place in a wrong decision than to continue implementing the same decision while incurring more losses. For this reason, always be flexible and ready to amend any decisions made in case a time comes when you feel that your original intent is no longer being met. Similarly, never worry about what people will say whenever you want to change your mind on a certain issue, because it's better for them to say whatever they want to say, but set yourself free from the past decision that is no longer adding any value to you. Never, ever tie yourself in an ineffective decision just for the sake of making others happy at the expense of your own rights and freedoms. Simply put, it is always good to make amendments or even discard altogether any decisions that you might have made in the past if they no longer add any value to your life. For this reason, whenever you are making any decision, remember to create room for review or amendments. Never make a decision on behalf of someone else without consulting him or her. This is because it is not everything that you think is good for another person that is actually good or acceptable to that person. Always remember that your likes may be another person's dislikes, while your dislikes may be another likes or another person's likes. For this reason, you should always make sure that your decision-making process is participative without monopolizing it. So, whenever you find yourself being tempted to make a decision on behalf of another person or for another person, make sure that you consult that person first. Otherwise, if you fail to consult that person, be ready for a rude shock, because that person may totally reject your decision regardless of how much you might have invested in it. A good decision is that one which is arrived at after involving or consulting every concerned party. For this reason, never ever ignore anyone's input, regardless of his or her status, even if it is a child. In fact, it is always good to let someone have his or her way in making the best decision for himself or herself, without undue pressure, as long as he or she is aware about the consequences for the decision that he or she is making. So, never ever force your decision to someone else, and never ever make a decision on behalf of someone else without consulting him or her, unless if he or she has no capacity to decide. Never make decisions that cannot be implemented. This is because whereas it is good to think big and think outside the box, you should avoid coming up with decisions that cannot be implemented in a real life situation. For this reason, it is always good to think about the procedure of implementing the idea that you have and its implications in real life. If you find yourself making a decision that will cause harm to your body or endanger the lives of others or endanger the lives of animals or interfere with the environment, then that is not a good decision to make. For this reason, you must always be very realistic as you make certain decisions by paying attention to the effects that your decision will have, not only to yourself, but also to others. Always avoid making any decision that will endanger your life or endanger any other person's life or threaten their existence, regardless of how good such a decision may be or may sound. In addition, always establish how possible and comfortable it will be, either for you or for others, to implement your decision, so that if you realize that the process of implementing it will be impossible, you think of a better alternative. Never force others to implement a decision that you made yourself without consulting them. Never force others to implement a decision that you yourself would also not be comfortable to implement. So, whenever you are making a decision that involves other parties, make sure that you engage all of them in the entire process of decision making so that you can be able to arrive at a decision that will be embraced by everyone and one which will be implementable. Therefore, for you to be able to make effective decisions, you need to be aware of what to do, what not to do, as well as being able to adhere to the steps in decision-making process. This is because poor decision-making or lack of it altogether is bound to bring about mediocre results. But with the adequate and effective prior decision-making, high performance can be realized because any decision arrived at is capable of being implemented. The following are thus the basic set of steps that you can follow in order to make effective decisions whenever you are faced with a predicament, or whenever you are aware, or whenever you are in a situation whereby you must make an effective and a quality decision that can enable you to accomplish and attain the expected results. The first step is, due to the fact that you may be faced with several challenges that you need to deal with at the same time, and each of them require a specific solution or approach, you need to always commence by identifying the specific problem or issue that you need to address from the many prevailing issues or problems. In addition, you need to know very well why you think that the issue is a problem that needs to be addressed and what you expect after it has been solved. This is because if you do not know vividly or are not sure of the problem that you are facing and which you want to solve, you may never arrive at the appropriate alternative or solution. In fact, the main reason as to why many people are never able to deal conclusively with the issues they are facing is because they do not know what they are experiencing, and thus they develop solutions that are not appropriate for dealing with the issue head on. For this reason, whenever you find yourself in a situation that is worrying you or making you restless, it simply means that you need to deal with it head on. And thus, you should be able to clearly identify what the real issue is so that you can be able to know what to do. Number two, once you have clearly identified the exact issue or the problem that you are experiencing, you should then proceed to understanding the details about the problem by acquiring as much information as possible concerning the matter. Remember that you can never arrive at any effective decision or a solution to any issue if you do not have as much knowledge as possible on the subject matter. Therefore, once you have identified your exact problem, proceed to gather as much relevant information as possible concerning the issue. In relation to this aspect, assess yourself to see where you have come from and what you might have done or failed to do to cause the problem. Then consult experts on the matter. Research on the issue, including online. Read books and listen to videos on the issue. And talk to people that might have prevailed in similar issue before. Step number 3. You should then summarize all the information that you have gathered, break it down, and classify it in form of alternatives or a set of solutions to your issue or problem at hand. This is because as you summarize the information gathered, you will have realized that there are various approaches or methods that various people might have applied in arriving at effective solutions to a similar issue, problem, or a challenge like the one that you are dealing with. Therefore, group related information or facts together under their respective solutions. Step number 4. Because it is not every solution or alternative that is possible or is appropriate to everyone, you need to consider the most appropriate, effective, and efficient alternative for yourself based on your status. This is because some alternatives may require a lot of input from you, and this may not be possible for you. For this reason, you need to look at each of the alternatives keenly while listing their advantages, disadvantages, and their requirements. Then proceed and weigh or compare each of the alternatives against each other so that you can have a clear understanding of what you would need to do or what to put in place in case you choose any of the alternatives. Then weigh each alternative's advantages against its own set of disadvantages, and then weigh each alternative's limitations and rewards against the limitations or rewards for each other alternative. Remember that this is a very crucial step that is also time consuming, and it needs you to concentrate and make deep assessment, because if you rush this step, you may ignore very important information that may lead you into choosing the wrong alternative. Therefore, take all the time necessary at this step. At this step, remember to consider each potential path that you would take to accomplish each alternative if you were to choose it. Remember that you are going through this entire process because you want to make an informed and appropriate decision to solve your issue, and thus you need to handle this step diligently. Number 5, having been able to weigh all the alternatives available, you have established the various paths that you would take to accomplish each alternative, and you have understood the requirements for implementing each alternative. Now, it is time to make a choice as to which of the alternatives you have already arrived at is most appropriate alternative for you to take in solving the problem. At this step, you can number your alternatives or rank them based on how possible it is to implement each, from the most appropriate alternative to the least alternative. Then choose the best and the most appropriate alternative for you. In this case, the alternative that has ranked the best in comparison to the rest, and then the one that will require the least resources to attain the best results. My dear viewers and my dear listeners, note, I am saying that you should choose the most appropriate alternative for you, which in this case should be the alternative that has ranked the best in your list in comparison to the rest, and one that will require the least resources to attain the best results. Number 6, once you have chosen your best alternative, proceed to develop a plan or a roadmap on how you implement the plan. At this stage, make sure to outline sequentially the exact set of steps to follow while implementing this alternative, guided by the outline you made under step number 5 for that specific alternative, and then implement the plan. This plan is meant to enable you make your decision achievable and tangible. Number 7, you should then proceed to review your decision after having implemented it for some time. So, you then need to review your decision after some time in order to see whether it enabled you to solve the intended problem or not. In other words, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, after you have chosen your best alternative, you have developed the plan for it, and you have implemented that plan, then you should always have some time to review your decision and the progress of your plan so that you can be able to see whether the decision that you are implementing is giving you the required results and whether it is giving you or solving for you the intended problem or not. It is important that you consistently and continuously review the outcomes of your decision as you continue implementing it, so that in case you notice any deviations, you can rectify them on time instead of waiting up to the end, only for you to discover that you wasted your resources on the wrong alternative. In fact, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, sometimes the next step after choosing your alternative and after implementing or after developing a plan on how you implement your decision, the next step is usually implementing your decision according to your plan. Then, after you have implemented or as you implement, you can carry out some review as you progress implementing the plan. Or you can review at the end of the day. But it is always advisable and it is always important that instead of waiting up to the end of implementation of the plan to review, it is good to review your plan as you continue implementing your decision so that the appropriate decisions or appropriate actions can be taken on time instead of waiting up the end of the day and then you end up not achieved anything. For this reason, it is important that you consistently and continuously review the outcomes of your decision as you continue implementing it, so that in case you notice any deviations, you can be able to rectify them on time instead of waiting up the end of the day or until you have implemented the plan completely, only for you to discover that you wasted your resources on the wrong alternative. It is good to undertake a final overall evaluation also of the decision you made after its complete implementation, so that you can know whether you have been able to solve the problem or you have been able to meet the expected goal. If not, you identify the mistakes made and redefine your problem again, thus triggering the start of a new decision-making process, commencing with the first step. And this, my dear viewers and my dear listeners, makes decision-making process to be like a cycle. Because after you have solved a problem, it might create another problem. And most of the problems that we solve, they always end up generating another problem or another issue that needs to be solved. After all, remember, life is a continuous process of continuously solving problems. When you solve one, it opens the door for the next one. And you can listen more, you can read more about issues or problems in my video that is already posted in MLSwap Life Skills YouTube channel on the problems. In conclusion, if you ever think of accomplishing anything in your life, regardless of how impossible the journey might look like, always remember that whatever you think about can become a reality if you make the right decision now. This is because the right decision made at the right time and in the right manner always generates the right pathway towards attaining quality outcomes, regardless of the challenges that may be experienced on the way. Therefore, always make the right decision by adhering to the right decision-making process, and for sure, success will be your portion. Congratulations for listening to this video on effective decision-making. To easily access more life skills, motivation, and inspirational resources from this MLSwap Life Skills YouTube channel, click on subscribe button below this video if it's not currently reading as subscribed. You can also access various free resources in ICT or computer field by searching for and subscribing to MLSwap ICT YouTube channel if it will not already be reading as subscribed. If you have any further suggestions, corrections, or queries in relation to this video or any other videos posted in either MLSwap Life Skills or MLSwap ICT YouTube channels, kindly feel free to write to us through the email mlswap@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to me, and God bless.